Diddy was running some kind of Epstein type deal where he was filming everybody. Genuinely love it when someone like Diddy gets caught, though. I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
I was never at Diddy's party. I don't even know the motherfucker.
We're out
I
here
don't want to know nobody.
telling jokes.
Nobody.
If you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. You gotta keep them there. You need locks on the doors. You need a lot of heat. You don't have no air conditioning. Heat affects the alcohol. Everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat. You need some good music, and you need me, of course.
Yes.
So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up to
No,
any
well,
of them.
is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's
Joe Rogan recently made a remark that sent shockwaves across social media, this time questioning the eerie silence surrounding Ellen DeGeneres. As the Diddy scandal dominates headlines and timelines, many people are asking the same uncomfortable question. Why does no one seem willing to connect the dots? Ellen's name keeps resurfacing in discussions, yet the mainstream conversation keeps skirting past it. When Diddy faced serious federal charges, the internet reacted instantly, slipping into full detective mode. Old clips resurfaced, and interviews that once seemed playful suddenly felt unsettling when viewed through a new lens. That is where Ellen enters the conversation. Fans began circulating past moments of Diddy appearing on her talk show, noticing how relaxed and familiar their interactions looked. They joked, laughed, and casually referenced wild parties as if it were harmless banter. At the time, it passed as comedy. Now, with more information coming to light, those moments feel different. The chemistry, the comfort, and the tone of those exchanges leave viewers uneasy. What once felt funny now raises eyebrows, making people wonder whether those lighthearted conversations were hiding something.
All right, we're back with Sean Diddy Combs. Is it Diddy today? Because sometimes you're Puffy and sometimes you're Diddy. Or sometimes you're Daddy. What are you today?
I'm so confused today with it. As long as you say it in a nice way.
All right.
Just like,
Yeah.
With the narrative now completely flipped, those old jokes are being rewatched as if they carried hidden meaning all along. Viewers replay the clips with fresh eyes, wondering whether the laughter masked details no one noticed before. This is where Joe Rogan's comments intensified the debate. Rogan suggested there may be a reason Ellen is not being questioned the way others are. He noted that Diddy appeared on her show multiple times, and their party talk was not a random aside. It was filmed, public, and strikingly casual. To many fans, that comfort no longer feels accidental. Instead, people believe those conversations could be small fragments of a much larger story, pieces of a puzzle that is only now starting to reveal its shape and forcing everyone to question familiar narratives.
What are you holding there?
I'm holding my package.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do.
When you pause and look at the situation as a whole, the silence surrounding it feels almost deafening. It pushes people to ask whether this is simply bad timing or a subject so sensitive that no one wants to touch it publicly. The story grows stranger when you remember how Ellen's talk show ended after the explosive toxic workplace allegations. That controversy was not just another viral moment, it permanently changed how audiences saw her. Soon after the fallout, Ellen and Portia de Rossi relocated to the United Kingdom, with Ellen linking the move to political tensions in the United States. To some, that explanation made sense. To others, the timing felt symbolic, less like a lifestyle choice and more like an unspoken message. Coincidence is possible, but viewers rarely accept maybe as a satisfying answer. That uncertainty is exactly why people continue digging through old interviews, archived footage, and behind-the-scenes moments, searching for clarity about what really happened off-camera. Before digging deeper into Joe Rogan's perspective, it helps to understand why Ellen's name keeps resurfacing. When BuzzFeed News published its detailed investigation into the Ellen DeGeneres show, it shattered her carefully crafted Be Kind image almost overnight. Former employees described experiences involving intimidation, racism, and a toxic culture that made many feel unsafe speaking up. What resonated most with the public was the irony. The brand was built on positivity, yet the allegations painted a workplace defined by fear, pressure, and control. The backlash escalated quickly, leading to the removal of several executive producers and forcing Ellen to address the issue directly on air. Although she apologized, the response failed to fully repair the damage. The central debate remained unresolved. Were the problems caused by a few powerful producers, or did they reflect the tone of the entire show? Ellen maintained that she was unaware of much of what occurred behind the scenes, a defense that divided audiences sharply. Some accepted her explanation while others remained skeptical. Regardless of where opinions landed, her once pristine reputation had already suffered lasting cracks that still linger today.
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show. And then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected. I know that I'm in a position of privilege and power, and I realize that with that comes responsibility, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show.
The show continued for a short time after the controversy, but when Ellen finally ended it, she explained that the format no longer challenged her creatively. Many fans were unconvinced. To them, it felt less like burnout and more like broken trust that never truly healed, regardless of how hard she tried to move forward. That is where Joe Rogan's perspective enters the conversation and stirs debate. While talking about Diddy on his podcast, Rogan highlighted something that had been hiding in plain sight for years. He noted how celebrities once openly joked about Diddy's legendary parties as if attending them was a badge of honor. At the time, everyone laughed and moved on. But with today's revelations, those same jokes sound far less innocent and far more uncomfortable in hindsight.
There was always so much East Coast, West Coast shit that's still like in the zeitgeist, you know, like with Biggie and Tupac, and they're all hating at each other, and they both got killed, and there was a lot going on. And then there's people that thought that Puffy was involved and Suge Knight was involved.
Joe Rogan didn't soften his words. He openly mentioned celebrities like Ashton Kutcher and others who once bragged about Diddy's parties as if they were part of an elite inner circle. Then Rogan pointed out a detail many people overlooked. One of the biggest platforms where those party conversations happened openly was Ellen's talk show. His question was simple but cutting. How could so many famous people spend years around those environments, joke about them on national television, laugh it off, and later claim they never noticed anything strange? The allegations facing Diddy today paint a very different picture, and that contrast is why Rogan's comments resonated so strongly. These stories weren't whispered in private rooms. They were discussed publicly, recorded, and broadcast, yet everyone kept moving forward like nothing mattered. One specific clip from Ellen's 2018 interview with Diddy keeps resurfacing online. In that moment, Diddy invites Ellen to one of his parties and jokingly calls her out for never attending. He then explains that his parties start early, but the real action happens much later, around midnight on the upper floors. Ellen laughs and reacts in a way that suggests she understands exactly what he means. That brief exchange is now being replayed repeatedly. Viewers believe there was more behind the smiles and laughter. The way Ellen responded felt less like confusion and more like an inside joke shared by people already in the know. That feeling is what continues to haunt audiences.
What time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Then the after party.
No, I know about them.
To understand why this moment matters, you have to see why Joe Rogan finds it strange that Ellen's name keeps being excluded from the larger discussion. For one, Diddy appeared on her show multiple times, and the party jokes were not isolated comments. They showed up again and again, treated like harmless banter no one needed to question. As usual, the internet began digging deeper. Old clips resurfaced, including a 2002 interview where Diddy joked with Conan O'Brien about needing locks on the doors at his parties. Back then, it played as exaggerated shock humor meant to get laughs. Today, that same clip feels different. When people rewatch it now, it no longer sounds funny. Instead, it feels unsettling, like a warning hidden in plain sight. Whether fair or not, that shift in perception has reignited online debate and intensified scrutiny.
You're neat though, right? I would imagine your closet is color coordinated. Everything is hung in a certain,
yes.
Right? So you're neat, it's just that you're not the person that puts it back. All right.
As those old clips circulated again, the main question shifted fast. What did Ellen actually know, if anything, and why has she stayed completely silent? Online users dug even further, resurfacing a 2016 tweet where Ellen jokingly gave Diddy the nickname Cuddle Snuggle Stuff, which quickly began trending again. More clips followed, showing moments where Ellen was asked about Diddy and avoided answering altogether. Some viewers argued her body language looked tense and uncomfortable, while others said anyone would react awkwardly when caught off guard by paparazzi or unexpected questions. Regardless of interpretation, those moments only intensified suspicion. The silence, the evasive reactions, and the timing combined into something that felt unsettling to the public. Instead of calming speculation, Each resurfaced moment seemed to pour more fuel onto the growing fire.
Now, first of all, you can make someone famous overnight just by sampling their sound. So I could get you a copy of that, and then you could just see what you want to do with it. Maybe that slides in someplace real nice, you know what I mean? Okay, let me ask you for some advice here, because clearly I need some.
Oh, what was that?
I'm the human beatbox!
Joe Rogan's argument was straightforward but sharp. If you were close enough to someone like Diddy to invite him onto your show repeatedly, laugh about his party lifestyle on national television, and react like you understood the meaning behind those late-night jokes, people will expect you to speak up when serious allegations surface. Rogan emphasized that it is not about assigning guilt, it is about accountability. When jokes start to sound like confessions and the spotlight shifts, silence only deepens suspicion. According to Rogan, once you participate in those conversations publicly, you cannot later pretend you were never part of the room when the truth begins to emerge.
Where are you going after this? It's all 20s. Where are you going after this? What are you doing?
You know what we doing, what we plan to do, girl.
Rogan explained that the silence from Ellen and several other high-profile figures is what makes the situation feel suspicious to many people. From a public perspective, it is strange to see individuals who were once openly involved suddenly say nothing at all. But there is another layer that complicates things further. Ellen's past workplace scandal may help explain why her name keeps resurfacing. Former employees described an environment driven by fear, where speaking up felt dangerous. Online commentators noticed how that pattern of power, silence, and control mirrors what many believe exists inside elite celebrity circles. When reputation and influence are on the line, people often stay quiet, and that parallel is impossible for many viewers to ignore.
So Ellen, so what do you think? Rihanna went back to Chris?
Ellen,
is that a good or bad move?
It's a bad move.
Okay.
It's a bad move.
Any advice you want to give to her?
Not really.
All right, then.
None of this suggests that Ellen committed any crime, but it does help explain why her name continues to surface in these discussions years later. Various stories circulate in the same orbit, including claims from former crew members who said the atmosphere on set often felt tense when Ellen was present, or that certain guests were quietly excluded due to personal friction. Whether every detail of those accounts is accurate or not, critics argue the pattern feels familiar: control, pressure, and silence. Once audiences notice a pattern like that, they stop accepting moments at face value. Old clips are replayed, reactions are reinterpreted, and even harmless smiles begin to feel loaded. One moment fans frequently revisit comes from 2009, during the fallout after Chris Brown was accused of assaulting Rihanna. On her show, Ellen directly confronted Diddy about allowing Chris to stay at his home afterward. She spoke firmly about accountability, saying she never wanted women to believe it was okay to return to someone who had hurt them. At the time, the exchange was praised as a strong moral stance. Looking back now, viewers interpret it differently. They question how someone so outspoken about responsibility then could remain silent today, as similar questions surround people she once defended, joked with, and publicly associated with. That contrast is what keeps fueling speculation.
This leads me to the perfect thing, because I would like you to clear something up. There's a lot of talk going on with Chris Brown being at your place in Miami, and you arranging Chris and Rihanna getting back together. Now, you want to talk about that?
See, I wouldn't use my Twitter to talk about that because that's somebody else's business.
I know, but you gave them your house.
Yeah. But we're talking about Twitter.
Yeah.
How you use Twitter, and that's something else. I'm just saying I wouldn't really Twitter about that.
Okay, let's not Twitter about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Can we dance?
Yes.
I would like to dance.
Dance. Do it.
As workplace allegations about Ellen's own show gained traction, former staff members described what they called a toxic environment, one marked by tension, intimidation, and emotional exhaustion. That is when online criticism shifted toward accusations of hypocrisy, not because it proved criminal behavior, but because the contrast felt impossible to ignore. On camera, Ellen had long championed kindness and accountability. Behind the scenes, employees claimed the culture was built on fear and pressure. That disconnect became a turning point for public opinion. Zooming out, another development added fuel to the fire. Reports emerged that Ellen and Portia de Rossi sold their Montecito mansion and relocated to rural England, with Ellen publicly tying the move to political conditions in the United States. Many viewers were skeptical. To them, it did not appear to be a random lifestyle change. Online, people pointed out the timing, noting how closely it aligned with Diddy's legal troubles dominating headlines. As his situation intensified, audiences began tracking which celebrities spoke up and which went completely silent. That scrutiny opened the door to something darker. Internet speculation escalated into outright rumor building. At one point, false claims circulated that Ellen had an arrest warrant connected to her former DJ Stephen Tiwich boss, who tragically died in late 2022. Some posts even alleged secret courtroom recordings existed. Fact-checkers quickly debunked the entire story. None of it was true. What shocked observers most was not the rumor itself, but how quickly it spread. People were no longer asking whether information was real. They were asking whether it fit the narrative. That hunger for answers kept Ellen's name trending alongside Diddy's, even when evidence did not support the claims. Once trust erodes, facts struggle to compete with speculation. Ellen's reputation, already weakened by years of controversy, became a magnet for anything sensational tied to darker Hollywood myths. In that industry, once your image cracks, rumors stick harder, especially when they feel part of a larger, mysterious story. Even Ellen acknowledged that damage in her Netflix special For Your Approval asterisk. She joked about being pushed out of show business and admitted the "be kind but not kind" headline had become her identity. The moment was self-aware, but it also reminded audiences how deeply that narrative still follows her.
And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If I've done anything in the past 19 years, I hope I've inspired you to be yourself, your true, authentic self. And if someone is brave enough to tell you who they are, be brave enough to support them, even if you don't understand. They're showing you who they are, and that is the biggest gift anybody can ever give you. And by opening your heart and your mind, you're going to be that much more compassionate. And compassion is what makes the world a better place.
What stood out most to viewers during Ellen's Netflix special was not just the humor, but her tone. When she talked about ego, exposure, and how criticism often feels louder than praise, it struck a nerve. She said the entertainment industry thrives on extremes, where people either idolize you or attack you relentlessly. But many listeners did not hear reflection in those words. They heard deflection. To them, it sounded like someone still processing backlash rather than fully owning what led to it. That emotional distance reignited debate, making people question whether Ellen truly understood why trust was lost. Then another viral moment pushed her name back into the spotlight. NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast and made an offhand comparison between Ellen's former show set and the architecture of Epstein Island. Rogan immediately dismissed the idea, explaining that the design resembled common Los Angeles-style buildings and was almost certainly coincidence. Still, the fact that the comparison surfaced at all said a lot about public perception. Ellen's name is now being pulled into conspiracy culture alongside some of the most notorious figures in modern pop history. Not because of proof, but because the internet thrives on dramatic storylines that feel cinematic. At this stage, narrative often outweighs nuance. Every resurfaced clip, every rumor, and every theory becomes another thread in a web audiences cannot stop spinning. The real issue is no longer individual accusations. It is how quickly public trust collapses and how difficult it becomes to separate truth from speculation once that collapse begins. That is the pattern driving this entire conversation.
Boy, oh boy, Ellen, I love you. I know you didn't ask where I've just come from, but I just got off a plane. I'm on tour. I just did 5 nights in a row. And I just made it here, and I love you.
I love you too.
When the debate about that Los Angeles building design first started circulating online, the internet did what it always does best. It spiraled. Social media feeds filled with theories, speculation, and dramatic assumptions. Some users claimed Ellen knew more than she let on and had quietly settled in England, while Diddy became entangled in a growing federal case. Others pushed back, arguing that Joe Rogan was simply voicing what many people had been thinking privately for months. Why do some celebrities get dragged endlessly through public scrutiny, while others appear to receive a noticeably softer edit? Soon, body language analysis entered the chat. Old clips of Ellen dodging questions resurfaced, and self-proclaimed experts began dissecting every pause, glance, and facial expression. Some insisted she looked nervous or guilty, but it is important to be clear. Body language is not evidence, it is interpretation. Still, interpretation is the fuel that keeps online discourse alive. Perception drives clicks, comments, and outrage, and that is exactly why these conversations refuse to fade. Scrolling through comment sections, a familiar storyline begins to emerge again and again. The toxic workplace headlines, the apology that many people accepted halfway but not fully, the sudden move overseas that some fans treat like a coded message, and now the Diddy situation seemingly tying it all together. Piece by piece, audiences are stitching these moments into a single narrative, and that narrative has become the engine driving this entire controversy forward. At the core of it, many people believe Ellen never truly faced lasting consequences. That belief pushes them to search for deeper explanations, which leads back to the question raised at the very beginning. Why does Ellen's name feel off-limits whenever Diddy is discussed? A growing number of viewers think the answer is not legal protection but social insulation. They believe Ellen still benefits from her name, her wealth, and decades of Hollywood connections. Even after stepping away from television, she retains the kind of influence that allows her to shape her public story in ways most people never could. That is where Joe Rogan enters the picture. Rogan does not operate under the same unspoken Hollywood rules. He does not rely on studio access, red carpet invitations, or network approval. When he raises uncomfortable questions, he is not declaring guilt. He is challenging silence. That distinction matters, and it explains why his commentary resonates so deeply. Once a platform as massive as the Joe Rogan Experience treats something as a legitimate question, audiences run with it at full speed. The controversy at its heart is not about claiming Ellen is somehow worse than Diddy. That leap would be reckless and unfair. The real issue people keep pointing to is consistency. Why do certain celebrities get grilled relentlessly while others appear to be handled with kid gloves, even when footage, quotes, and past moments exist that raise eyebrows? That imbalance is what keeps this discussion alive. The Diddy scandal did more than generate new headlines. It triggered a rewind. Old interviews are being replayed. Old jokes are being reinterpreted. Casual entertainment moments are suddenly treated like clues instead of harmless banter. This is no longer just about gossip. It is about audiences trying to identify hidden patterns in celebrity power, access, and protection. So what does the future look like for Ellen? Most likely, it involves a quiet life away from the spotlight. Unless credible, verifiable evidence ever emerges linking her to criminal behavior, not rumors, not theories, and not speculative interpretations, her legacy will probably remain tied to the toxic workplace fallout rather than anything connected to Diddy. Public perception may never fully reset, but legally there is nothing suggesting otherwise. Diddy's situation, however, is very different. His legal battle is far from over. Federal investigations do not simply disappear. Appeals, filings, and civil lawsuits can stretch on for years. Every new development keeps his name in the headlines, and with each update the ripple effect pulls additional names into the conversation. Some may be relevant, others may not. That is the messiest part of Hollywood's rumor machine. Once it starts spinning, it rarely stops on its own. As of late 2025, the Diddy case continues to dominate headlines due to real legal developments. Federal investigators remain deeply involved following multiple civil lawsuits accusing him of serious misconduct over the course of his career. In 2024, Homeland Security agents conducted high-profile raids on his homes in Los Angeles and Miami as part of that federal probe. The moment shook the entertainment industry and left many wondering who else might be connected. Since then, Diddy's legal team has denied all wrongdoing, but the reputational damage has been undeniable. Major brands quietly distanced themselves. Several celebrity associates stopped offering public support. That silence only fueled more suspicion, reinforcing the idea that power, fame, and influence often dictate who is protected and who is publicly sacrificed. This inevitably circles back to Ellen DeGeneres. Her image never fully recovered after her show ended in 2022. Since then, she has kept a relatively low profile. No talk show, no daily media presence, only occasional public sightings with Portia de Rossi in California or the United Kingdom. While she is no longer at the center of entertainment culture, her name still resurfaces whenever a major Hollywood scandal breaks. For many observers, Ellen's downfall became a case study in how quickly public opinion can flip. One moment you are celebrated as a symbol of kindness. The next, your reputation fractures under scrutiny. Joe Rogan, meanwhile, continues to stir debate through discussions about celebrity culture, power dynamics, and selective accountability. His refusal to filter himself through traditional public relations channels is precisely what makes his commentary viral. As the Diddy case continues to unfold, public focus is shifting once again. People are no longer just asking who might be guilty, they are asking who remains protected. That question now hangs over Hollywood as 2025 draws to a close. Silence for many has become louder than denial. So where does that leave us? Has Ellen been unfairly dragged back into the spotlight by association and speculation? Or is the public justified in continuing to question patterns that the industry seems eager to avoid? And as Diddy's legal storm continues, could more powerful names be pulled into the conversation? Those are the questions keeping this story alive. Drop your thoughts in the comments. The most insightful response gets pinned. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the layers behind the headlines, like the video and subscribe to my channel for more daily celebrity breakdowns, untold scandals, and Hollywood stories that continue to shake the industry.